Hi, welcome to this episode of The Daily. My name is Brendan Malone. Well, last week I read an article, someone was suggesting that perhaps we should be lowering the voting age. They were suggesting this because of the flag referendum, and they said that, that perhaps, someone suggested that the voting age should be lowered anyway to sort of 16 or 17 years of age. Others have suggested that just on special issues like this referendum, that the voting age should be lowered to include children. Because of the fact that a flag, for example, is going to be with them for the rest of their lives. I don't think that's a particularly good reason because if you think about it, any election has that same high likelihood of resulting in law changes or the implementation of laws or particular policies that could well be or likely to be with those people who are children today for the rest of their lives living in this country. So if you were going to do it for a flag referendum, let children vote, you'd have to say that same reasoning would have to apply in a general election, wouldn't it? Well, I would have thought so. But I think there's some good reasons why we shouldn't lower the voting age to, say, 16 or 17 in this country. First of all, I think we should just allow young people, children, adolescents to actually just enjoy their youth free from responsibility. I'm not a big fan of adultifying and dropping adult concepts on them too early. I think just let them have their youth and enjoy it. There'll be plenty of time once they hit 18. If you think about it, once you hit 18, over 2/3 of your life then, for your average person who lives an average lifespan, is spent involved in every 3 years thinking about an election and thinking about who you're going to vote for and thinking about politics. And it can be quite a worrisome and at times burdensome task. It is a responsibility and a very serious one. I just think we need to let young people be young people before dropping adulthood on them or forcing them into adulthood prematurely. There'll be plenty of time for that once 18 rolls around. Secondly, I think voting is quite an important part of the democratic process, and obviously there's a far greater chance that people over the 18, not everyone, but there's a far greater chance that more people are going to use their vote wisely, they're going to think prudently, because there's a bit more of a maturity that's present that wasn't present when, say, they were 16 or even 17. I think the fact that you've left high school, the fact that you've left home, these are all factors that begin to play into changing and shaping your view of the world and beginning to build a newer maturity. I think there are some arguments, believe it or not, actually in favour of raising the voting age. I don't support raising the voting age, but the latest brain science we have suggests that the human brain doesn't really fully develop until about the age of 25, which is when complex decision-making, we become better at that. And so possibly you could say that we should be, if anything, raising the voting age, not lowering it. I think one of the biggest arguments, though, against lowering the voting age is really the fact that when you are 16 or 17, you are still in a position where there are a lot of potential coercive factors on you in the way that you could vote. So, for example, you're almost certainly still likely to be in high school, and there could be a lot of pressure on you from either peers or teachers for you to vote a certain way. There could be a lot of subtle coercive electioneering going on in schools. That obviously doesn't happen at the moment because there's no point to it. And so you could have a whole lot of people voting because of coercive factors. In the home, you're far more likely to be at home under the age of 18. Even if you are still at home over 18, there's a difference now once you've left school and you've got a bit more independence and you're making your way in the world. You tend to view your parents a bit differently. You tend to view the world and the way you make choices differently. But if you're under 18, you're younger, I think you are more susceptible and more vulnerable perhaps to thinking and acting the way your parents do just because they do. Whereas I think voting should be about an individual's conscience leading them to make a particular choice based on what they think is going to be the best outcome for the country. Either way, I really don't think there's good grounds for lowering the voting age. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow on The Daily.